Welcome. I'm Dr. Daryl Green. I'm with the Dickinson School of Business. This is MKTG 4373 Small Business Marketing. And we are so excited and blessed to have Mr. Denzel Frazier. He's with us. He's a digital marketing expert, and he's here to share with our class. And one of the things that we like to do, the emphasis on small business, and small business have all kinds of challenges, and you're experts. So we're gonna, it's gonna be a conversation, and I'm gonna be like Tom Johnner, Steve Harvey, Ellen. So hopefully people don't judge me on that. And so what I want to do right now is I just want you to meet our incredible dynamic class. So, and we are all set up in teams up to 8. So anytime you want some feedback, all you got to call is a number. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start with team 8. If you would come, introduce yourself, what you major and where you're from. You come up to the front. We appreciate it. Team 8, followed by team 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
My name is Grace Paul. I am a senior GME major with the emphasis in business, and I am from Norman.
Hi, I'm Renee Moran. I'm also a GME major with a business emphasis, also a senior, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay. Followed by thank you, team 7.
Hi, I'm Taryn Weber. I'm a senior communications major from Prosper, Texas.
Followed by team 6.
I'm Rich Bullard. I'm a senior marketing major from Edmond, Oklahoma.
I'm Jackson Wynn, senior marketing major from Durham, North Carolina.
I'm Robert Olafie, junior marketing major from Midwest City, Oklahoma.
Team 5. Team 4.
I'm Kaylee McCurry, and I'm a senior marketing major from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm Emily Wilmeth. I'm a senior marketing major from Plano, Texas.
Team 3. I'm experimenting with lighting.
Trevor Evans, junior marketing major from Snyder, Oklahoma.
Team 2.
I'm Trey Green. I'm a sports management major, and I'm from Kingfisher, Oklahoma.
I'm Kayla Lance. I'm a junior marketing major from Houston, Texas.
And team 1.
I'm Taylor James. I'm a marketing major from Carrollton, Texas.
So class, I want you to put your hands together for Mr. Denzel Frazier. Denzel, can you talk a little bit about your background, where you went to school, what you currently do right now?
Sure. So hey everybody, Denzel Frazier. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama. I went to school at Alabama A&M. Got my bachelor's in marketing from there, and moved on to Houston. I've been in Houston almost 7 years now, and right now I'm currently working for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. For my Houston people, you probably have heard of it before. So for the rodeo, well, I'll talk about my background first. Got a strong digital marketing background, specializing in analytics research. So that's where I got my start as an analyst, kind of moved up from there and expanded my wings and got more into more digital marketing and a bit of traditional marketing as well. So here in my role at the rodeo, I'm a marketing manager, and I still specialize in analytics, but also a lot of the digital ad campaigns we have going on with social media ads, search ads. Also deal a lot with surveys, so coming up with survey concepts, what we want to know from our customers, and then actually digesting all of that data and showcasing it to upper management and coming up with actionable insights from it. So that's a little bit about my role at the rodeo.
So this class, Denzel, looking at, I think what you'll probably agree with is trying to give the students more experience. So this is not just a paper exercise. We don't spend a lot of time on quizzes and exams. We focus on the actual practication. And we have a micro internship. So over the last 15 weeks, students have been working with business partners to help them with problems. And you may know one of the partners, AK Daryl Archibald, Malik, Chef Malik, one of the teams are working with them. So what was the biggest? So most of the students in here are transitioning from college life to the professional world. What are some of the biggest transitional challenges that you had coming out of college, working for an employer?
Oh man, biggest transition for me is just understanding that I didn't know everything, right? So I thought, coming in, hey, I know all there is to know about marketing. I performed well in my classes. I studied, like I know all of these concepts and terminology, but I guess just becoming teachable and like just being a sponge. That was really my biggest transition, just going in and realizing that, hey, you don't know much, and you should just take in as much as you can.
So one of the things I think students grasp with is this whole concept of unclear instructions, ability, vagueness. Talk about in terms of instructions. How clear are instructions when you deal in the real world? Are instructions or are problems always that well defined? And so, and if not, how did you make that transition when you didn't have clear instructions, lack of instructions, and you had a project and it had to be done?
That's a great question. You're not always going to get clear instruction and direction on where you need to go with assignments and projects. So what I learned is a lot of times, if it's over email, just figuring out what the expectations are. Okay, when do you need this by? That's the first question I typically ask. Like, when do you need this by? If you need more insight or you have questions on what you're being asked about, feel free to ask, hey, I didn't quite understand exactly what you were asking for. Can you give me a little bit more insight on that? And just getting that up front instead of doing what you think you need to do. And that's not always the best case. So communication is always key with that. And like, let's say if it's in person, a lot of times I'll repeat back what someone said. I'll write it down and say, okay, this is what I gathered from what you said. Are we on the same page? And, typically it'll get cleared up that way once you repeat it back to them. If they say, oh, actually, well, I want this, or you missed this part, and then you can write that down. And so you're on the same page with your manager or another team member. And that way you'll be able to get that information over to them.
So this is not, like I said, this is not just the instructor's guess. This is really about helping the students out. And I think Denzel's an open book. And I know teammate has some tasks to go. They'll have to be leaving. So teammate, we're gonna start with you. I want you to, again, introduce your name, the team, and ask your question. So teammate, you start. Come on up.
Hi, Denzel. My name's Renee, and I'm with Teammate. We're working with a nonprofit organization. Do you have any suggestions on how best to promote something like that that's not a traditional business?
Absolutely. So actually, the company I work for now is a nonprofit. So it was definitely a little different, a lot different from for profit. So there's different ways. You use some of the same channels. If you're not familiar with Google, Google has a platform called Google Ad Grants, and they grant that to nonprofits. So you could get $10,000 a month for search campaigns. And I learned that when I came here. I was like, what's Google?
Repeat that again, brother Lau. I mean, my nephew. Repeat that again. Write this down.
Google Ad Grants for nonprofits. It's a program specifically for nonprofits. So you have to go through the submittal process, right? So you go through the submittal process, you have to verify that you're a nonprofit, right? They're gonna ask for all documentation and everything. Once they verify that, it doesn't take long. I mean, maybe 3-4 days, maybe. Once they verify that, you have to go through a few other steps after that. But the whole process may take a week, maybe 7 to 10 days. Once you get approved, you get $10,000 per month to use for your search efforts on Google search. So you get, I mean, that's free money. So there's another way that you can, advertise your nonprofit. But you can use generally all of the other same channels that you would use in a for-profit organization. But that's one thing that came to mind when you asked that. So that's a tool that I would recommend for nonprofits.
That's great, thank you.
Man, my IQ just went up. Denzel, my IQ went up, man. I've never heard of that. Okay, thank you so much, teammate, and great discussion. Team 7, you up.
Hi, I'm Taryn Weber. What is your favorite tasks that you get to do with the rodeo, for marketing and stuff?
Oh, great question. I have an analytical mind. That's my specialty. So I love really just pulling all the data together and making sense of it. So one of my favorite times is right now. So our event actually just ended a few weeks ago. So I told you guys I'm over the surveys and all of that data. So pulling all of that data together, looking at our demographics, because we have benchmarks, right? So we want to be at a certain level for our demographics. We want to understand that, see if we're meeting those goals. And, just understanding what our customers like, what they didn't like, where can we make adjustments, and just pulling insights from that data. So this is really one of my favorite times. It's one of my favorite tasks is I put together this huge PowerPoint deck that includes all of the data and all of the learnings that we saw for the past year. So that's one of my favorite tasks.
Hey man, don't go anywhere. Hey, can you share that deck? Is that proprietary information?
I can share some of it. Yeah, I can share some of it.
So let me ask you this: what was the gap? Because Denzel, some of you might have seen Denzel. I like to have him in my introduction marketing class too. What was the gap between the COVID year when you had to shut down? Is there a big? Can you analyze the difference between that and how you guys are going to recover from that?
And that's actually what we're looking at right now. So from 2020, our event is usually 20 days, 20 to 21 days. And 2020, we got through 8 days. So a lot of that data, we really don't even look at 2020. We look at 19 to 2020 to compare. But we do look at some of that 2020 data. And yeah, we're in the process of just looking at that and trying to understand how 2020 was different from the other years.
So going into a pandemic, did you learn any? What did you learn in terms of the future? We might have a double pandemic, or we might be in a war. Did you guys learn anything? What was your takeaways from dealing with that 2020-21 experience moving forward?
Of course, you have to be able to adapt, right? So that's what we learned. We had some private events back in 2021 when we were still on lockdown to try to generate some type of revenue. We went to some virtual events as well. So we had to get creative in order to be able to sustain. We had to have some money. We're a nonprofit, but we still have bills to pay, right? So we still need revenue coming in. So we had to just get creative with different types of ways. So like I said, virtual events. We held some private events that had less people than we generally have. We had to get creative. In 2021, half of the end of 2020 to early 2021, we were planning different scenarios. Like, okay, how will we be able to operate at 25% capacity? 50% capacity. How does that affect our budgets? What does that look like from a revenue standpoint? So we went through all these different type of projections in 2020 and 2021. So yeah, it just helped us to become more flexible and adaptable.
Thank you so much. Up Team 6, you're up.
Hello, Denzel. My name is Robert again, and as you heard, there's a lot of seniors in this class, and so I'm wondering what tips you could give us on transitioning from a student to a real person.
Biggest piece of advice. I mentioned it before in the previous question, but just be a sponge, man. Like just try to soak up as much knowledge as you can from others. You can learn so much from people who have a lot more experience than you. Another thing that I also like to tell seniors is sometimes we got to get off our high horse. You may think, okay, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna work for a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 company out of school. Maybe you have aspirations. You have some companies that you're interested in. And sometimes you don't get your start there. Sometimes you got to work for a startup for a year or two and then get that experience and then move on from there. So I would say don't be afraid to start small and build up, because you really want to just get as much experience as possible when you're coming out. So that would be my two means of advice for you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Team 6. Team 4, you up.
Hi, I'm Kaylee representing Team 4, and our question for you is, what is the biggest challenge that you face in your job?
Ooh, great question. Great question. The biggest challenge is just sometimes you just got to learn on the fly, right? Especially with the world just changing over the last couple of years, just adapting to how people behave and just understanding that, and then just changing. Maybe you have to change your marketing campaign on the fly because something isn't working. So just, always adapting and trying to stay on the cutting edge of what's going on.
All right, thank you.
Denzel, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I was gonna ask you, what was your recruiting process like out of college?
Oh man. So I'll tell y'all the story. It was probably around the time for you seniors. Well, a little bit before this. So I'll probably say like the fall semester of my senior year, I started getting calls from recruits, right? I started putting my resume out there. I had a lot of, I guess, trainee positions that people were calling me about, just management trainee positions. I also had a marketing position that I thought I had, but it never fell through. So once you start putting your resume out there, for some of you seniors, you probably have started seeing this. You'll start getting calls from a lot of recruits. They may be from staffing companies. They may actually be for working recruiters for the actual companies that you're interested in. But you got to, especially when you're in marketing, you got to weed out some of those sales positions. I'll tell you guys to be conscious of that, because if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Like I went to several interviews, well, a couple interviews. Went to school in Huntsville, Alabama, which is about 3 hours from Atlanta. And I thought, I was so excited. I had this interview set up in Atlanta. It was advertised as a marketing role. I went down there, found out that it was about selling Comcast services. So you just be conscious of those type of positions, especially if you're in marketing, even business in general. Make sure that you read those responsibilities and you really vet the people that are interviewing you to understand exactly, what that position is. So that's kind of how the recruiting went for me early on. I got a lot of sales pitches, and they like I said, they disguise it as marketing or business development, but it's really like maybe going door to door, or maybe it's sitting outside of a grocery store trying to sell direct TV or something like that. So once I got past that, and actually started seeing how to vet those properly and weed out those positions that weren't really the positions I wanted to look for. That's when I started picking up steam. So good question.
I got a follow-up question to that. Where would you recommend putting out like your resume? Because there's, a lot of different places like Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, but like, what for you would you recommend right now, knowing the world of how to get noticed by different positions?
Great question. Indeed is good. LinkedIn is really great. If you have the funds to, especially for the seniors, if you have the funds to do the LinkedIn Premium, I definitely recommend doing that, because what LinkedIn Premium does is shoots your resume up to the top when you apply for positions. So I get people that reach out to me on LinkedIn a lot for positions. So LinkedIn, Indeed is really good. Career Builder is a good one too. Sometimes you will get some positions that aren't relevant from Career Builder, but Career Builder is solid. You'll get some recruiters.
What about Glassdoor?
Glassdoor is hit or miss. My experience with Glassdoor, I got a lot of junk from Glassdoor, and I would get some good hits from Glassdoor, but you just got to be leery of Glassdoor. When I told you guys about the sales positions, a lot of those were on Glassdoor, and like they would disguise them as marketing or business development. So I would say be cautious if you want to use Glassdoor. Just make sure you read through those descriptions thoroughly.
So here's a question for you that I actually wrestle with sometimes. How do you so for students, how do you determine your worth? So how do you not so you're getting an offer and you don't want to be desperate, but how do you make sure that you understand your worth and your value, so you're not underselling your skill set? Because most times, I'll be honest with you, companies lowball you. They want you dirt cheap. So how do you find out? Or how do you deal with negotiating your first job?
That is an excellent question. So there are a few different websites that you guys can use. It was really a quick Google search, right? So let's say the name of the position is marketing assistant, right? Or marketing associate. Or I know some of you guys are general business. It could be business administrator or assistant, So you'll look it up, you'll Google that position title. A lot of times you'll be able to see the salary range in your area. So you could, if it's in Oklahoma City, for example, you could put the city, the position title, and it'll give you like a range. A lot of times it'll give you experience as well. There's a website that I used to use. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. For salaries, there's 2 websites, and I can get the names of those and I can send them to you, Dr. Green, so you could send them over to your students. But that gives you an idea. It'll give you a range, so you'll know if someone's trying to lowball you, because most of the time they're trying to get you as cheap as they can, especially you've been a new grad. So yeah, at least with using those websites, you'll be informed and you'll know, okay, this is what the average is in the area for this type of position. So you can kind of use that and leverage that data in your negotiations.
Okay. So our team 1. Did I skip somebody? Team 2. Go ahead, team 1. Let me get team 2.
Okay, my question for you was, what did you find most valuable in your career? Was it education or was it kind of experience?
Definitely experience. Yeah, because like I said, I thought I knew everything there was to know about marketing, and when I actually got into it, there was a lot that I didn't know. Just practical experience. I think it beats education, because actually going through the day-to-day, I picked up a lot of different terminology that I didn't know in school, and just learning the ins and outs. So I say experience. I feel like that's been the best teacher for me.
So what would you rate mastery of Excel?
How important it is?
Yeah.
It's important, especially for me because I'm in analytics and research. That's my specialty. So I use Excel like every day. So even if you don't really have to analyze anything, you still need to be pretty proficient in Excel. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to be able to know how to do some general Excel. You have to be like an Excel wizard, but it'll help if you know how to do pivot tables and those types of things. And you could do that on LinkedIn Learning too. You can learn, you take a quick course and become a decent Excel.
So what about Adobe Suite and Canva?
Yeah, Adobe Suite is important too. Especially if you're working for a smaller organization, you'll have to wear multiple hats, right? So like smaller businesses, you may have to design, you may have to create emails. Like I said, you may have to do surveys. You may be the person that does all of that. So it would help if you knew Adobe Suite for sure, and Canva, so you can create your own images.
I just bring it up. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Team two, you're up. That's I think it's our last team.
I just want to ask, with your rodeo post customer experience surveys, how do you organize all that information, and are there pieces that you look at more than others?
Great question. It's a lot of data because we ask some extensive questions. So how do we organize it? Since we've been doing it for a while, we do have a template, right? So we have a template from previous years and we start there. And we start with demographics. We go through all of that, like what our customers look like, average age, race, ethnicity, where are they coming from, like where do they live? Then we go into further detail, like what was their experience here? And then we always add a few new questions in as well. So we'll throw that in. So the base is really the template. That's where we start. And then we just start adding it in. And every year is different. Like this year is unique. So we have some unique questions in there. And then we're going to be comparing it to 2020, maybe 2019. So you kind of, like I said, you start from your base and then you just build from there. And you said, what do we spend most time on? Demographics, experience, overall experience. We look at NPS. That's one of the big ones.
What does that mean, nephew?
Okay, NPS is Net Promoter Score. And what that basically means is how likely someone is to recommend a product to a friend or family member. So if they had a good experience, like a high NPS score is going to be, 70 and above, right? So it's based on a 100-point scale. And it just pretty much means how likely someone is to recommend that product or service to someone else. That's one of our key metrics that we look at. We look at sense of safety as well is a good one that we look at. Also, another KPI is first-time attendees.
Can you repeat that again? Can you repeat that word again? I heard you say an acronym.
KPI, key performance indicator.
I didn't make that up. So I just want to let them know I didn't make that up. So.
Yeah, and even if you're not a data person, everybody has to look at KPIs because you have to measure what you're doing and make sure you're being efficient. So yeah, we use KPIs all the time. We have strategic KPIs that we look at, and one of those are first-time attendees. So we're looking at, we're trying to grow our base, so we wanted that first-time attendee percentage to be at a decent rate. So those are some of the metrics that we kind of focus in
on. Thank you, Team 2. And I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to take your time. I do want to ask you one question. We do have a presentation for you. Are we about ready in a few minutes? Getting our stuff together. We're not hold on. So a couple questions. We got to make a presentation for you. What are your three takeaways, seeing that these individuals are going to be going into the workplace? What are your three takeaways for them in terms of your wisdom?
You said, what are my three takeaways for them?
Yeah.
Like like advice that I would give them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mentioned a few. Going into the workplace, like I said, the main one is just be a sponge. Like I said, I may have said this twice now, but just learn as much as you can. Don't be afraid to take chances. You know, a lot of times people are timid when they get in. Don't be afraid to make a mistake because we make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I make mistakes often and I learn from them. You know, so don't be scared to take chances and make mistakes. Like I said, don't be scared to take chances and move. You know, maybe I know a lot of you guys says you're from Oklahoma, some of you are from Texas, but hey, let's say you got a job offer in California or Chicago or something. You know, don't be afraid to get up and move and take a chance, and get that experience that you need. And you can always move back if you want to. But like I said, don't be scared to take a chance. Be a sponge and learn as much as you can. Try to expand your box, right? So a lot of you guys may have parts of business that you like. Some of you are in marketing, maybe you like advertising, maybe you like analytics like me. But don't be afraid to just learn new skills as well so you can expand your box, especially if you want to move up. The more you know, the better you'll be. So yeah, those would be my keys for you guys.
So great job as always. As I mentioned, Denzel is my wife and his sister are siblings, and they come from a family of faith. I love my nephew. I love my family, and Denzel is one of those examples that we bring to him. And he's also a person of faith. We do have a special presentation we'd like to make for you at this particular time.
Denzel, on behalf of the class, we just wanted to bless you with this thank you card. And we appreciate you blessing us and imparting of the knowledge and wisdom that you built up through your experience. So thank you so much.
Just give them a hand, class.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna be in that city in June. I've been told, my wife gave me orders that I got to go to Jacinta's 40th birthday party.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be here.
So you know I'm gonna be bringing some music. We're gonna be jamming.
You gonna bring the deal? I got it.
Yeah. All right, take care, nephew.
All right, thank you guys. I'll take care.
Bye-bye.